What's up, everyone? My name is Tyler. You are watching Mom's Basement MMA, and today I'm speaking with one of the most exciting amateur flyweight slash bantamweights on the East Coast. He's a fighter from New Jersey. Michael the Ghost McCaffrey joins me this evening. Michael, welcome back to the program, sir. It's always a pleasure to have you on the People Show.
Thank you for having me on the People Show, Tyler. It is always a pleasure. I'm looking back to getting back in the octagon June 8th and putting on a spectacular performance.
Michael, you're a young guy, but you've been in this game for a long time. You're talking about multiple fights in mixed martial arts. You've also had some grappling matches. You've also done some kickboxing. And I was curious, like, for such a young guy with all this experience, like, I would almost be comfortable saying, like, like you're a guy that people could learn a lot from. Like, for people that are like brand new into this competitive mixed martial arts that are just looking to start and maybe get to your level one day, like, what advice would you give to like some brand new kid who's 18, 19 years old right out of high school that's looking to become a fighter one day?
Well, to be honest, it's all depending upon their background and whatnot. Do they have a wrestling background? Did they do jiu-jitsu when they were younger? What sports did they do? What level of discipline they have. Mixed martial arts is a special sport. I believe any man can come into this and mold himself into being a champion someday, but it is very specific to individual. From personal experience, I actually have a very close friend of mine, Tommy. He'll probably end up listening to this. He wrestled in high school, and he just got his blue belt, and he wants to do MMA. So I took him into my world, and I'm honestly I'm baptizing him in fire. I'm putting him in the sparring with guys. Honestly, I don't know if he should be going with him yet, but he's doing good. He's got very good grappling, and his hands are very promising for a guy who's never had a striking coach in his life. He's doing very well. So that is one of my good training partners for this camp, Tommy. And what I would do would be learn one thing at a time. So I would start with grappling because I find that to be harder to learn. I started with striking. I wish I started with more grappling now. Um, and after getting around a blue belt's knowledge of grappling, whether if it's in wrestling in high school or jiu-jitsu, then I would start to get into the striking. And I would honestly start out straight boxing, learn how to really throw punches properly. A lot of guys in the MMA game really don't know how to strike. They really don't know how to box. They don't know what to do after throwing a strikes. They're looking at their work. They're not exiting. They're not moving their feet. Um, and then from there, competition, competition, competition. With staying in motion, can't be stopped. Layoffs and not having fights is definitely a negative. Staying active every couple months, if not, in between MMA fights, getting kickboxing, boxing, grappling, wrestling, tournaments, any form of competition is going to sharpen that blade and make you better. And then it is really just you gotta love the journey and accept that this shit is going to be a long fucking time. It is going to be miserable, grueling. There's going to be days where you don't really want to do it, but it's your job to show up anyways, and that is what I've been doing. So I'm actually just now feeling like I'm actually understanding things of this game, and really putting my game and my arsenal together. But I'm really honestly, Tyler, I'm just scratching the surface. You you said I have a lot of experience. I disagree. I think that I am very lacking in experience, and that is why I've just done a kickboxing tournament. I actually was going to accept two fights. So before this fight, I had accepted to fight William Pelletier with Cage Wars up in New York. That's a fight I'm supposed to lose on paper, but that shit excited me very much. I wanted to be the guy to go out there and win the fights that I'm not supposed to win. I'm not very excited winning fights that I'm supposed to win. It doesn't do the same, doesn't give me the same drive or ambition or excitement to wake up every single day and to chase that win. Um, and then I found out about this Brandon Bernard fight, and I was like, "Fuck it, give me both. Give me both." I just fought kickboxing. 4 weeks later, let me fight Brandon Bernard, and then 4 weeks after that, let me fight the number one Canadian flyweight By the way, that was the kid, the number one. He's a TriStar kid. So assuming, I don't know much about him, I would assume he is I assume he's a stud, coming from TriStar, number one flyweight in Canada. I've honestly just been, whatever makes me nervous, I'm diving headfirst into that. And let me tell you, it has changed my life.
Michael, you've accomplished a lot, in my opinion. When I look at your entire resume, I look at the individuals that you've faced in the cage, and I would almost call you like the opposite of a lot of other fighters I know. And what I mean by that is, particularly in the amateur scene, I feel like it's very important to look for the tough fights. It's very important to really like get out of water and like really throw yourself in the fire, because that's the only way you're going to learn if this sport's really for you or not. And I don't really see that a lot. I'm not trying to shit on every amateur fighter. I'm really not, but I just got to go off of what I see. And I feel like there are a lot of fighters out there that are cherry picking fights and are looking for the path of least resistance. And that goes against the grain of like what a fighter's supposed to be about, in my opinion. Do you agree with me? Do you think that record padding in the amateur MMA scene is a serious problem?
Tyler, the obstacle is the way. And if you're afraid to lose, you're never going to make it in the sport. As simple as that. That's why I've been, like I said, chasing that fear, what makes me afraid. I'm going to say it right now, right out for everyone. I'm fucking afraid to fight. It hasn't always been that way, but something has changed in me where I've realized how dangerous this is, but I love it. I love waking up, and it makes me feel alive. Maybe fear is the wrong thing. I fear nothing, but I realize how dangerous it is, and it gives me that energy. It can be excitement or it can be anxiety. It is my choice to decide which route I'm going to take, and that's just what I've been doing. Guys just shy away. They fight guys with negative records. They get 5 or 6 fights, and then they want to be pro. And when you get into the UFC, you really don't know what's going to happen. You're not going to get into the UFC, but if you ever do face a real stud like myself, you really don't. You're unprepared for about what's going to happen to you. For example, I trained with Pat Sabatini tonight for the first time. I rolled UFC featherweight. Dude manhandled me, beat the shit out of me, like just doing things to me that I've never had done to me. Honestly, I'm going to say I think he's the best. Well, he most definitely is the best grappler I've ever come across, relative to my sight, relative to my size. Now he is a pro. He is a 45er, so he's even higher. He might be walking around at like, what would you say UFC featherweights walk at?
170 pounds ish.
I'm walking at 145 right now, so there is that. But this guy's technique was different,
Mm-hmm.
So seeking out those hard rounds, seeking out those hard sparring matches. I've been sparring with professional boxers, guys who are just better than me, just putting myself in the mud, in the trenches, and proving to myself that I belong there. So when it comes fight night, I know my opposition doesn't do what I do. They probably choose the easy rounds with their buddies, and just do the same thing day in, day out, and, just in motion while I'm constantly evolving. Tyler.
Michael, another really interesting thing about you is like I feel like in the amount of time that you've been competing, like you've kind of like gone through this whole cerebral journey, right? Like the peaks, the valleys, canceled fights. Like it's a very tough life, right? Because up for a lot of different reasons. You go in there and you compete, you train your ass off. Sometimes you might not get the result. Sometimes fights might end up getting canceled through no fault of your own. Maybe your opponent gets hurt. Like there's just a ton of other mental factors that are such an integral, such a crucial part of fighting. And I'm curious, like when you reflect back, when you pan out and you look at the lows, you look at the highs, like how did you like temper things for like you don't let yourself get too high, but then you also don't let yourself get too low when things aren't going your way? How do you manage all that?
No, you're right. This is more than a physical journey. This has been a mental and spiritual journey. Just lay that out there. I'd say since December, I've recently gotten out of the darkest moment of my life. From December to about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, I've had so much happen to me, from family members passing away, pets dying, both of my parents getting cancer, losing someone literally that I loved with all my heart, my first loss, several eye injuries. Tyler, the list goes on and on. I never thought it would stop, if I'm being honest with you. I thought God was punishing me. I didn't know what for. I did some self-reflecting, and I might have come to some to some conclusions. But the entire time I was in the mud and in the trenches, I was just looking forward to being like, bad days, they're going to come. They're going to come, but I'm going to survive. I'm going to keep fighting through it. And I know someday that the light at the end of the tunnel is going to come. And that day came. I do now feel blessed by God. And for a long time, I felt like I was being punished by God. But I just did what I was supposed to do, and I was rewarded for it. My life has changed. A lot of new things have been happening in my life, positive. I won't go into detail on all of them because some things I can't talk about yet. I'm one of the situations is I'm going to be moving in with a team of fighters, so 2 other fighters in the house. That is going to be good. I had to come home and stay with my parents during the time period of them having cancer, because I was worried and whatnot, wanted to take care of them and be with them. But now that they've beat it, God bless, they've beat it. They're healthy. I'm 24-year-old man. It is actually mind-boggling what it's like to move back into your parents at this age, and you just like feel an entire shift in your head. That's another thing that was getting with me. But I'm getting back out of the house, going on my own ventures, and I know that's going to drastically change the way I feel as well.
You earned like a flyweight title, and now you're primed to get another belt when you fight Brandon Bernard here in a little bit. But can we backtrack? Like getting that title around your waist so early on in your career, like talk about a moment no one can ever take away from you. Like, can you like what are some of the emotions? What are some of the things that you felt when you got that title wrapped around your waist?
It was an emotional moment for me. I felt relief that my hard work paid off. I I was tired. I was tired at the end of that fight. I got heavily wrestled in that 3rd round, and the air was, I was still regaining my breath. Um, but I knew deep down what I did in the first 2 rounds. I severely damaged my opposition, and really, really put it in the bag. Being wrestle fucked for the 3rd round is boring. It looks bad, but I knew it wasn't enough to take away what I did in the first 2 rounds. Um, it was a great feeling, but if I'm being honest with you, um, that's what I expect from myself. I expect myself to run through all of the amateur competition in my scene. I expect hard fights when I'm in the UFC and I'm at the top of the echelon. That is when I should start really worrying about my opposition, and obviously never look past anyone at this level. Brandon Bernard is very game opponent. But what I'm saying is, for expectations of myself, this is my job. This is what I'm supposed to do. Where I'm going is to be a UFC champion someday. So it is my job and duty to smash and kill all these people that are below me or around me in these rankings in my regional scene. As simple as that. I've done things that not everyone else is willing to do, traveling the distances, being the underdog on the B side, fighting up in weight. We've spoken about this, Tyler, just what I'm willing to do and others aren't.
We have a game opponent, Brandon Bernard, and I look at you and you're a young dude. You can make 125 pounds. You've been doing it time and time again, but you also don't shy away from jumping up a weight class if there's a compelling fight for you. Can you tell me a little bit, Brandon Bernard? Like, you're a pretty cerebral guy. I know there's a lot of thought that goes into all your decisions. What made you say yes to this guy, and what made you say yes to 135 pounds for Maverick MMA 28?
Diving into the deep end, baptizing myself in fire, doing what scares me. And when I accepted this Brandon Bernard fight, I actually had accepted the number 1 flyweight fight as well. But at this very same timeline, the promotion that I was in negotiations with, they went ghost on me after I accepted. Um, so that fell through, and I definitely want to fight. I want to stay active. I get a little mental when I'm just like sitting around doing nothing. Even if I'm training, I need to have a date. I need to have it. I need to have something to look forward to. I need competition, and it was simple as that. He's 3-2. I know his topology got bumped back to 2-2. He had some controversy in his last win, something to do with the ref. Then it went in the third round. He got the finish, but the ref said he got. It's a whole fucking. I don't want to get into it. But in reality, he's 3-2. I've watched his film. He's good everywhere. He's solid everywhere. He can strike. He can grapple. He can wrestle. So, but he's not me, Tyler.
Mhm.
He's not me. I'm special everywhere. Not just good everywhere. I'm special everywhere, and I'm looking forward to showing that. I'm looking forward to beating the bigger, taller, heavier guy and doing it in spectacular fashion when everyone else thinks I can. In reality, I know what people say about me. I know that I draw a lot of controversy and people that are not a fan of me because of my self belief and confidence. But it is what it is. They're gonna have to see me win, regardless of whether they like it or not. In June 8th, Wind Creek Casino, June 8th. They're gonna have to witness it once again.
Who have been some of your main training partners? Who has been helping mold you for Maverick 28?
So I've taken this fight on 4 to 5 weeks' notice. Before that, I was preparing for a kickboxing match. For that kickboxing match, I was kind of like bouncing around with a couple sparring partners at different gyms. At my home gym, South Jersey BJJ. Um, Unfortunately, though, my main sparring partners from South Jersey, Chris Ianieri and Sam Buckley, they are both not in the gym at the moment. One's, police academy. The other has a spinal injury of some sort or a nerve injury. So I've actually been training elsewhere. I've been doing lots of cross training lately. Um, I was cross training at Dante Rivera's. They have some very solid 25ers, 35ers, 45ers that I went with. Um, Nez, Jerry,
Know both of those guys. Yep.
Nick, James. Yeah, they actually have an arsenal of guys around my size, which is fantastic for me for when I go train there. Unfortunately, though, the distance, and I believe we've spoken on this matter before. My eye injuries that I've had multiple times. I'm very hesitant now to go travel for sparring, given that if I have an eye injury, it's going to be very difficult for me to get home. Going to have someone drive out and then pick me up and then the whole so and so forth. So I've had to be much more cautious with what I do. I've been cross training in my like 20-30 minute area. I've been at Taino MMA with Eddie Torres. um, you know some people over there like Pat Sabatini, Andre Petrosky. um, it's a great team. It's a great team. I'm very thankful that they've let me come over and train. My striking coach actually moved into the building, Nick Rosario. So I've had to part ways with my former striking coach, not out of any reason of like personal, no issue. He's like a brother to me, honestly, like a big brother. But he was an hour and 20 minutes away from me, and the amount of that goes into that, the gas, the tolls, all that. I had to kind of cut back in certain parts of my life and make things more in my immediate area, 20 to 30 minutes. Um, but in terms of sparring, been sparring guys at Tanya's and professional boxers in the upstairs boxing with New Legends Boxing Gym. There's professional boxers there that I've been sparring, and just another situation of putting myself in positions that scare me. When you step in there with professional boxers, then that's their world. You're like, oh shit, what did I get myself into? And then to go in there and perform and do good anyways. You know, I realize that I'm better than I give myself credit for, that I am more special than I have previously thought. And that if I keep that belief, I keep that determination, I keep pushing together, I create that synergy and create something very special in the future. And uh, Tyler, all the power is in the mind. You know, uh, action, action, putting in the work, thinking about it, believing in it. That's how you make things happen. That's how you make things happen. You hear McGregor talk about it. You hear so many athletes talk about the law of attraction. You put in the work and you believe in yourself, and great things happen. Every single great has said that, and that is what I'm doing. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and for that, I'm going to get what I deserve.
June 8th is fight night, a game opponent, Maverick MMA 28. You're a popular guy. A lot of people are going to come out that night specifically to watch you perform. So, for everyone that is buying a ticket, that's going to watch this performance, people that are going to be tuning in for the pay per view, like, what are your supporters, people, or even haters, even? What can people expect to see when you go out and fight this guy here in a couple weeks?
I see it going two ways, Tyler. It's all depending upon my opponent, how long he wants to be in there. You know, I believe him to be a game opponent. But everyone has their day, everyone has their night. Some people have good days, some people have bad nights. If he wants to, to get hit a lot and just be under barrages of fire and blitzkrieg, I'm willing to go all 9 minutes with him. But if he wants to make an early exit, I will give him that exit early. I'll give him the opportunity to quit. But he may very well be right. He's bigger, he's taller, heavier. Maybe he can eat my shots. I wouldn't suggest it's a good idea, but more power to him.
Well, more power to him indeed. And I am looking forward to watching you perform here in a couple weeks, sir. If there are any other supporters, if you had any coaches or sponsors you need to thank, why don't we do that before I let you go?
So in terms of my team, I would like to thank, everyone that has ever helped me come up, from starting from my to my old striking coach, Danny. It's like my brother that is, invested so much time and energy into me, literally like a big brother to me. South Jersey BJJ, I've put countless amount of hours and rounds in that gym, and the coaching staff there has put a lot of time and effort into me. Much love to them and all my teammates there. Much thanks to Taino MMA for allowing me to become a part of their gym and, cross training and training with them and, giving me attention as well. All my training partners, you guys know who you are. Thank you. Love you. My family, my friends, you guys know what you do, how you support me. And lastly, I would like to thank God, for, putting me in the position that I am, making me who I am, giving me the raw materials to craft who I am today. Without all of that, I don't know where I would be. So thank you to and thank you, Tyler, for allowing me to come onto your show and giving me a platform to to do my thing.
It's always a pleasure to have you, sir, and I look forward to having you back on the program real soon. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael McCaffrey, make sure you check him out. All of his Instagram information, whatever. If you're not following him, make sure you do that. Michael, appreciate you pulling up. I wish you the best of skill, and I look forward to having you back on real soon.